Hi, thanks for joining us this morning. This is Mike Flaherty, and I'm joined by Anna Bunn and Ryan Dunnegan of Kennedy Capital. Kennedy Capital is the sub-advisor to our Healthcare and Life Sciences Fund. Ryan and Anna, good morning.
Good morning.
Right.
So we're fresh off the Super Bowl, which was one of the lamest games I've seen, I think, in the 60 editions. And I think as I was at a party and probably on my 12th chicken wing, what was more interesting than the game were the commercials, as usual. And ironically, you see any number of commercials for GLP-1 drugs. And the one that really caught my attention was Serena Williams, who needs no introduction, but there she is injecting the herself into her arm, and apparently she's lost 34 pounds. I kind of find that ironic that somebody who was a world-class athlete is going to those types of measures to regain some measure of health. But you know what? I thought that this would be a kind of a good topic here to talk about. I know it's kind of front and center. You see a lot of people kind of talking, and some people want to know you're on them. Other people don't want to know you're on them, but a lot of people are on them. But there's certainly a lot of issues around that. Anna, maybe you could kind of comment on that a little bit and see where we go with that.
Definitely. And not only the ads for GLP-1s, but juxtaposition, right? You've got the GLP-1 ad, and then right after it, maybe like a Frito-Lay or a Pepsi ad, and you're like, how do these things fit together?
Or chicken wings.
Or chicken wings. But definitely, I mean, a lot of buzz with the GLP-1s. It feels like everybody's on them. But I think there's, like you mentioned, like someone like Serena Williams, an athlete trying to build muscle. We've talked about this on previous calls, right? GLP-1s actually can erode muscle the longer you're on them because they're essentially their mechanism is reducing your caloric intake by slowing down the action of your gut. And so you eat less. And if you eat less and you don't eat enough protein, then you lose muscle, right? It's that simple.
Right.
And so I think it's really interesting to talk about all the things that are going on in the GLP-1 space. There's the GLP-1s like Wegovy. There's the GLP-1 GIP, which is another gut peptide, which is like tirzepatide, Mounjaro, so Eli Lilly's drug. But then there's this whole other slew of new innovations. One that we've talked about before is anti-myostatin inhibitors, none of which are approved currently, but these are currently being combined with GLP-1s in clinical studies and have been shown to reduce that muscle loss because they're actually building muscle while you're losing weight on the GLP-1. So it sort of equalizes out that muscle loss and gives you some weight loss, not as much, but less muscle loss, right?
What's the name of that one?
Anti-myostatin. So it's actually an antibody that targets the myostatin protein and inhibits its function, which allows muscle cells to grow more quickly.
Okay.
And so that's just one approach, and that's currently in phase 2 development. Although I will note Eli Lilly seems to have discontinued or slowed down that program, so possible that it's not resulting in the amount of weight loss that companies feel is needed to then get approval with the FDA, get insurance coverage from payers, right? I mean, once you have such amazing drugs as GLP-1s, which reduce cardiac risk and all these other factors, it can be hard to then go to the FDA and go to insurance companies and say, now we have this new drug which doesn't reduce weight as much, but kind of helps with overall body composition. It might be a tough sell.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Especially from a pricing perspective. I mean, we have the oral GLP-1s now. Novo's in the market with those. We expect Lilly will launch their oral in a couple of months here, probably April, post-April timeframe. And they're cheap. They're cheaper. The cost is down. So now you're going to pair this with an anti-myostatin. Who's going to pay for that? Is the patient going to pay for that? The insurance company is going to pay for that? Are companies going to run the studies necessary to prove out the benefit to patients? There's a lot of open questions, I think, around where this market goes from here.
How does, if at all, this new Trump prescription drug initiative, how might that factor into this, even if it does?
Yeah, from purely an investment perspective, not really a needle mover. Uh,
Okay.
our companies aren't talking about it. I think it was a give politically in relation to the most favored nation push by the Trump administration. And there are a number of drugs selected, a number of companies participating, but by and large, not a material impact. You think about the types of companies who are participating, it's It's mostly the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and they've strategically selected assets where they can give a little on price, maybe achieve the goals of the Trump administration while not materially impacting the P&L. So it's not something that, we're mindful of it, but not something that today we really worry about.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. Just one other question, kind of related. We're what about not quite a month removed from the JP Morgan conference out in San Francisco. Any follow-up developments that you folks have noticed that came out of that?
Yeah, kind of a lack of M&A. We talked about that, I think, on our last call when we talked post JPM follow-up. And so no activity since really, not in a big way, but that's okay. We're 1 month into the year. If you, a lot of the large pharmaceutical companies have now hosted their official earnings calls, and the conversation around M&A continues. All these companies are looking, they're active, they have money to spend, they need to spend it to backfill their pipelines, and so it's really a matter of when, not if, in our opinion.
Right. Right. So, all right. Good. Well, Ryan, Anna, thank you. We're going to leave it there for now, and we'll look forward to catching up with you both here with some other topics coming up. Until then, I'm Mike Flaherty. Thanks for joining us.